What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Rally Pharma. You know this is world's best doctors channel, right? I know you know that. So kindly take 5 seconds and just subscribe. So we're continuing with our series of careers in pharmacy, and we are back again, guys. Please welcome my guest with our drum rolls. You know how we do it. Thank you. Yeah. So he's going to introduce himself, then I introduce the topic of the day. So Daktari, thank you for coming and welcome to my channel.
Thank you, and thank you for welcoming me. My name is Dr. Hakeem and I work at Signature Healthcare Limited as both General Manager as well as also Company Pharmacist.
Okay,
yes.
So now today this is quite a good introduction. General Manager and Company Pharmacist, you all heard me. So today we're going to do a topic on regulatory affairs. I know so many guys have been asking me, oh, when are you talking about regulatory? So guys, I got you. So today we're going to do career in regulatory affairs pharmacist, all you need to know and everything about it. So without much further ado, let's start. So Doc, take us through regulatory affairs. What do we mean by regulatory affairs?
Okay, regulatory affairs is ranges from the simplest of the licensing or the certifications that you need to acquire as a pharmaceutical company, which are considered the most mandatory, to even the non-mandatory requirements. So sometimes we assume that regulatory affairs only encompasses pharmacy and poisons board licensing. But indeed, regulatory affairs also goes beyond that. It covers a bit of product management. It also covers a bit of even ISO certifications. It covers internal audits. Registration of drugs is what we know about, doing retentions of drugs each and every year, variations. So there's quite a lot happening in regulatory affairs, and you can say that it's a core. It's a core of any pharmaceutical business, because ideally that's where from which you can be able to acquire the products and run a pharmaceutical company legally. Yes.
Okay, now brief description of regulatory affairs you've given us. So now, as a regulatory affairs pharmacist, I would like you to take us through your roles and responsibilities and your day in life. So if I'm walking up right now and told, I'm an RF pharmacist. So what does an RF pharmacist do? Roles and responsibilities.
Okay, so the roles and responsibilities of a regulatory affairs officer are quite vast. You're looking at number one, ensuring that the company complies to each and every pharmacy and poisons board requirements. So if at all you're running a retail or a wholesale business, then ideally you're supposed to have a licensure that goes with that. Ensuring that they are up to date. We're also looking at ensuring that the licenses of even the company pharmacists and even the medical representatives of the company are up to date. Ideally, when you pin that document on your notice board, the QR code needs to be active. In addition to that, you're also looking at someone who is particularly concerned with, is my product legally registered? So if at all you have a prospect product or you have an existent product, looking at this product, you need to confirm each and every time that this product is not queried. If queried, you need to make sure that you answer queries raised by Pharmacy and Poisons Board. You need to ensure that each and every year, so long as you're going to commercialize the product, this product needs to have been retained. And the retention ideally is the payment that we make on a yearly basis to a certain product that we intend to transact with. You're also looking at items to do with internal audits, which I like to mention, because sometimes we assume that that's the work of somebody else. But ideally, all internal audits, whether by the International Organization of Standardization or by the WHO Good Distribution Practices, or whichever any other standardization organization, it's your work as a regulatory officer to ensure that the company complies to requirements. In addition to that, you're looking at things like variations, which don't come quite frequently. So if indeed you want to make a change or an amendment on your product, could be a very minor issue on your package, or it could be a major issue like your LTR, or I mean that's a local technical representative, or your manufacturer. Those are things that you need to handle. There are things that we do not talk about, which also go into product management. Now, it is the duty of a regulatory officer to ensure that even the little excipients which have been used in the formulation of the drug, of the product, are let's say up to date, or it could be that you want to you're actually the custodian of every information that regards the product. So, like if you go into an RA's office, you will meet quite a lot of files and archives, because at some point, if you need to produce a batch formula for a certain product, it is you as a regulatory officer. If we need items to do with monographs, it is you as a regulatory officer. So there's quite a lot in terms of roles and responsibilities.
So basically to add on that also, because I do regulatory, don't crucify me for taking this. So basically it's about ensuring that the company runs within the legislation by Pharmacy and Poisons Board, and also drug dossier submission to PPB. Because people, I know people would ask, oh, what about dossiers? I know, because that's what most people think what a pharmacist do, but that is just a fraction of what you do. So basically a dossier is just a document that has all the information about the product for submission to a regulatory authority. So now once you've looked at your responsibilities, now tell us about how someone becomes an RA pharmacist. Is there a special training, or with a BPharm you can just become an RA pharmacist directly? So what are the qualities that they look for when they're looking for an RA pharmacist? Okay.
Now, different companies will have different requirements for the regulatory departments. But I can say that from my experience, having worked in the regulatory department, we actually do not look for experience. We in fact are willing to mentor. We are willing to invite anyone who has an interest in regulatory affairs. Because what happens is you learn in the process. I also had a chance to learn. I didn't go through any particular training on that. However, there are courses nowadays being provided online and even physically by some consultancy companies that prepare you for regulatory affairs duties. What I can say is that it's something that we can all learn with good experience, and with extra certifications. I think we also create a better platform for being better regulatory pharmacists.
I've also seen people are doing this regulatory course by Purdue. I think it's a master's. So guys, you can just check that out. And also on LinkedIn, these jobs are always advertised. You can just check.
Even by Pharmacy and Poisons Board, sometimes we have online, we have webinars that touch on some certain aspects of regulatory affairs.
So be on the lookout for such. So now, for a pharmacist who wants to venture into regulatory, what advice can you actually give them?
Now, I will say, and this is something I tell all people who want to venture into this. I have to be honest that being a regulatory affairs officer is almost a seasonal job for most companies. Now, unless you're working with a very busy company with hundreds of products that you need to continuously retain, at some point we normally say that from January to a certain month, that's when people are so busy, and you will see so many regulatory pharmacists at Pharmacy and Poisons Board following up with retentions and all that. And then we have a section of the year when we expect lots of evaluation of new dossiers. Now, my advice to all regulatory affairs pharmacists is that do not solely confine yourself to regulatory affairs.
It's true,
because let me tell you, the company that you work for considers that yes, regulatory is a core department. In addition to that, marketing is also very core. Now, how can you be able to use your regulatory affairs knowledge and experience to ensure that there's a commercial aspect to it? Now, this is why I normally tell, and even at Achievers and interns who come to our company, I normally want to expose them to, in addition to regulatory affairs, you need to do product management and a bit of marketing. Why is this important? Once you have learned everything about the product, from the excipient to the packaging, these are actually very important items that you can use to position your product in the market. Now, you're the only person who can train marketers on these particular matters. So don't confine yourself to that. When you have a chance to go into it fully. But also consider the fact that you need to also extend your tentacles into different areas in order to make sense.
And now let us look at challenges. I know as array officers we face a lot of challenges, I know. So what are some of those challenges that you face on your day-to-day activity, and how do you deal with them, like in the field of regulatory affairs?
Okay. When you mentioned challenges, I laughed at first because I thought about one thing, but I won't mention it first. I will mention it last. So the first thing that you're looking at is a lot of documentation, loads and loads of papers that you need to ensure that you can easily file and retrieve. The biggest challenge is when you have a query, for instance, you are forced to go to documents dating as back as 10 years back. And sometimes if you do not have a good retrieval process, you tend to suffer a lot.
I
decided I was looking for documents. I came to work in shorts and a t-shirt, and I was in the archives for almost a week. And I would remove a whole boxes and look for documents individually. But I had to work on the retrieval process later on. But that's a huge challenge. Secondly, you can see the dossiers. I think Dr. Opanga has just mentioned that the dossiers are huge documents.
They're very huge documents.
And they could be huge documents, and they could be 50 of one product. Now, going through that requires a lot of patience. If you do not have lots of patience and you're not keen to detail, I think most of these things will just pass you.
It's true.
So you need to be very keen. Even as you use the soft copy of the dossier to upload to the PB portal, it requires you to be very patient, even with the portal itself.
It's true, even with the portal, I know. And then there's this point where you have to split documents, you merge them.
You also do that. You have to split the document, you have to compress it. You have to, it's a lot of things. But it's if you're interested also in what do you call it, in manipulating documents in terms of splitting, and you're also good at Microsoft Word and Excel, so I think it's going to be good. If you're that kind of person who will easily use Excel sheets to key in data and store data, I think that will work for you. The other challenge is, and this is, I think everybody will attest to, our regulators as well. I think sometimes we have some challenge with them, especially when it comes to you're required to follow up. If you're not good at following up, you will not be able to succeed. Because there are lots of companies Pharmacy and Poisons Board deals with, and they're not just working for that one company. So you find that people could be overwhelmed. So sometimes we understand, but I know they say that
I know,
Hakeem ananipigia simu sana. But I normally say, honestly, if I do not call you,
you won't
frequently, you won't remember. So those are some of the challenges that we experience. And as I said initially, that sometimes being a bit seasonal in some companies, you'll find yourself seated without work. That's when you need to find some work to do.
And at the same time, there's also very high expectations from your boss, like to deliver. I know,
especially when it's a new registration.
They
expect that this product will be here in the next few months.
In the next few months.
But the process takes a bit longer than that.
It's true. So I think that's one challenge that everyone will attest to in the regulatory affairs.
But funny enough, if we meet at PPB, we are experiencing the same challenge.
And then you exchange notes.
We exchange notes, and we are able to touch base after a long duration of time. So I actually love it sometimes.
It's good actually, because you meet like so many pharmacists who do the same thing. People share, like, you're like, my product has delayed for this time. This one is telling you even yours is better and stuff. So, but this what I've discovered about this, it needs a lot of people skill. Like you need to have like a people skill. You need to know how to be friendly with
Very
people.
true.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if you're that kind of person who's introverted and can't make like a step to actually talk to people, you'll really have a hard time for sure doing this.
But on that note, I am introverted myself.
Oh, really? You're
I am
introverted?
introverted.
My God.
Yes. So for those people who are introverted, know that you have a chance.
Yeah.
In fact, I think regulatory affairs works well with people who are introverted extroverts. Yeah.
Like ambiverts.
Ambiverts. Because you need to sit down with documents and review them.
Yeah.
And then there's a time you need to now communicate with people.
Yeah, with people.
And make
It's
friends.
true. It's
Yes.
true. Yeah, I get it. Now, the future of pharmacists in this field. Do you think like this is a field where like pharmacists can actually do a lot, or do you think like it has a ceiling, like once you just do regulatory you'll always remain a regulatory officer, or is the future bright? Can more pharmacists join in, and is there like a chance for many of us to join in this field?
I would say that this is the future in regulatory affairs.
Yes.
What I like about RA is that now one, it is in a certain company. Now working for private companies in itself does not offer a low ceiling.
Yeah.
There is a high ceiling
There's
for
a
you
high
too.
ceiling, yeah.
Now I will allude to what I said a bit earlier, that when you do not extend your tentacles to other parts of this organization, because regulatory does not necessarily pay the bills for this company. There are a variety of things that you also need to understand. So the more you extend your tentacles to other departments, other areas, and one thing that I came to realize is that by doing internal audits, you actually are able to extend those tentacles. Because you go into finance and then you understand how they do things. You go into HR, you understand how they do things according to SOPs. So the more you're exposed to this, the easier it is for you to even grow. Now, it is for you to decide. It will be the end for you when you're just there. I mean,
like you just do those years and you sit.
You just do those years. But if you're interested in much more than doing regulatory affairs or in growing even in management, and I feel like people who are in regulatory affairs have a better chance of growing into management. Much better.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah, so guys, as I always say, spread your wings. Make sure when you're in one department, make sure you learn what other departments you're doing, not to overshadow like the other people, but you're just learning just in case. Because I've had friends like who've worked in regulatory affairs, then they've been shifted to marketing, they've been shifted to research and development.
I have been in that space myself. Initially, I was doing both regulatory affairs and marketing, and I can assure you to date, I still do a bit of that. Now, marketing does not necessarily mean that you have to go into the field and
like
become
a med rep.
No, marketing is a lot. For instance, I do lots of CMEs myself. Why is it important? Because a pharmacist has this loads of knowledge that he or she can be able to, pour out into an audience of medical officers, of clinical officers, and even fellow pharmacists. So that's a bit of marketing. Product management. When you're able to advise the company, and it's the work of regulatory affairs pharmacist to advise the company on which products that they need to bring. But you need to understand the commercial aspect.
It's true. You just can't tell them bring Panadol and that thing.
Exactly. Now, so that will allow you to understand the product. You go into training, ask to train marketers, ask to present in some CMEs, and I'm telling you, this will just expand your horizons.
It's true. So now, if someone wants to be a regulatory pharmacist, do you think there are adequate jobs for such people? And if there are those jobs, how do people actually get those jobs?
Okay. Now I'm looking at the number of companies that are doing registrations and all these things, and they're not so many, but they're also not inadequate to in that sense. What I think we are not doing at individual levels is actually sometimes going into these jobs and looking for them a bit more aggressively.
It's true.
Now looking for these jobs a bit more aggressively may also involve even you offering on a voluntary basis some of your time into regulatory affairs. So I'd say that yes, there are opportunities for regulatory affairs pharmacists.
Yeah.
And what we're doing as a company, in fact, is while we have interns and attaches, we actually sometimes promote part-time working, because some of these people are still studying.
Yeah,
Some of them could be doing their internship.
Yeah.
So when they are doing a bit of RA part-time, they could be in the office a couple of days and then doing their studies. It just exposes you to that field.
It's true.
What makes the difference between one who's been exposed and one who's not in an interview? Because most of the interviews will ask you, do you know what variation is?
Do you know what? Yeah.
You know.
I know. I remember there's another interview. I was just like fresh from internship. I had never done array. Then I went for this interview. I was being asked these things, and I was just like, I'm blank.
Yes.
Like you didn't take your time to even research. Yeah.
In as much as people are looking for zero experience when it comes to regulatory affairs, they're also looking at, do you at least understand? Are you at least interested in it?
It's true. Yeah.
So yes, I'd say there are opportunities, and we are also, as pharmacists who are in that space, need to create a bit more opportunities for people who are willing to even do part time. And that will assist. Help them in the long run.
It's true. And I also usually look at actually LinkedIn every single day, and I always see there are just like advertisement jobs for every single week. There's usually an advertisement opportunity for even beginner level, like regulatory affairs. So guys, I always say, make LinkedIn your friend, make it your friend. Even go to LinkedIn, search pharmacists who actually do regulatory affairs, slide into their DMs, like ask them, is there a chance that you can help me or train me? Because I know I've been approached by several people. I've actually helped several people out there. So if you also want, slide into these people's DMs. They are willing to actually help you, and by that you can be connected and get a job easily from that.
Kuna kazi archives.
I know there's a lot of work to be done. It's true. Especially when you remember when you were filling the wallet and it was just a lot of work.
Crazy.
I know, yeah. So now, parting shot, to anyone who wants to become an RA pharmacist, what can you tell them?
Now, for you who wants to go into regulatory affairs, do so. Don't do it half-heartedly. Just go into it straight on. If you are looking for these opportunities and they are not readily available, as you say, get in touch with people who are in that space. I've also seen consultancies that do regulatory affairs that also invite people to even intern with them and even work for them. And even when you do so, when you have an opportunity to go into this space, do not just sit down as a regulatory affairs pharmacist. Please look at what is beyond that. Yes.
Okay, so I think this is like really, really good advice. So young pharmacists, take note of this, and the future is bright. Do not just give up and sit there and say, I don't have a job and stuff. Please be proactive and look for these people out here. So now, thank you so much. I think we've come to the end of the video, unless you have something else to add. Unless you have anything else to add.
All the best to all people who are pursuing this. It is interesting, and I have personally grown from it.
It's true.
To where I am, I always say that I give it up to being a regulatory pharmacist. Yes.
Okay, so guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions with regards to regulatory affairs and anything, please let me know in the comment section. Also, just your 5 seconds, kindly subscribe and share. I know these videos are going a long way to help other people, so kindly just share. And thank you so much, Doc, for coming, and thank you so much, guys, for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Bye bye.